So a lot of what we saw last night was it was predictable. Josh Allen's ridiculously talented. Von Miller's a great edge rusher. Aaron Donald throws people around like toys. And Cooper Kupp is always open. And let's be honest about Buffalo. 11 blowout wins last year. 11 wins last year. All their wins were blowout wins. This is what they do. I didn't think they'd do it last night, but this is what they do. They are an avalanche of talent, the deepest defensive front in the league, great linebackers, great safeties, 7, 8 different defensive linemen. Add Von Miller to that, yikes. 11 blowout wins. Also, we saw Matt Stafford be streaky. This happens all the time. Last year, he got blown out at home by Arizona. He got blown out last year at home by Tennessee. He got blown out last night at home again by Buffalo. Matt Stafford is streaky. So a lot of this stuff we've seen before. But here's what's always more interesting. The stuff you can't explain. Cam Akers, no yards, 3 carries. I know he was banged up in camp and he was hurt last year, but he did play in the playoffs where he had 2 really ugly, punitive, nearly fatal fumbles. Is he in the doghouse? He was invisible. That is hard to explain. Allen Robinson, $30 million guaranteed, number 2 wide receiver, targeted twice. Again, not even targeted. Barely saw him on the field, rarely in motion. Hard to explain. Some of you may wonder this morning, what about Matt Stafford's arm? Now, I heard it wasn't that big of a deal, but all the throws were underneath. It was a very safe, conservative game plan. Heavy on short passes. Is it Matt Stafford's arm? I don't think it is. What I think it is Sean McVay's a really smart offensive coach. He gets offense. He knows his left tackle, Andrew Whitworth, his replacement, is capable, and that's all, and would be going up against the Hall of Famer and Von Miller. Their left guard, their right guard are really, really average. They have a nice center and a really good right tackle. But Andrew Whitworth out, Sean McVay knowing OBJ's not healthy, so they don't have any juice down the field. Tutu Atwell, maybe one of Les Snead's only busts so far in the last 3 or 4 years of drafting. They got no juice down the field, so they relied on underneath stuff, and the offensive line, even with that, could not protect. There's a lot of things here you can solve if you're the Rams. All right? Cam Akers is going to get more than 3 carries. And maybe he wasn't healthy. Allen Robinson, my guess is Stafford missed some camp. Robinson's a new guy. They haven't gelled yet. My guess is 2 targets is one of his lowest outputs of the season. And Stafford, again, will have really good days. He had 4 or 5 games last year. He was awful. He led the NFL in picks last year. His career has been streaky. Last night he was bad, especially late. But the one thing I don't think you can correct, and it's kind of one of those you got to deal with it issues, their offensive line, without Andrew Whitworth, it's just not going to be as good. The Bills got 7 sacks, none from a blitz. And the Rams weren't looking deep downfield last night. OBJ's not healthy. They don't have deep juice, deep energy, deep receiver on the roster. Cooper Kupp occasionally goes deep, but most of his stuff is 16 yards and in. 7 sacks without blitzes on a night, a conservative game plan. So that's a concern, and I'm not sure it's correctable. The teams with good left tackles aren't going to give them to you halfway through the season. So, again, some of this stuff, Akers, streakiness, Stafford, Allen Robinson, I don't worry much about it. It's the NFL. It's not college football. It's not Alabama. Everybody can punch you right in the mouth. But that O-line, the domination physically Buffalo put on the Rams, my favorite player when I was younger to watch in the NFL was John Elway. John Elway was the most talented quarterback. He'd been drafted, I think, by the Yankees, baseball, athletic family, and he was the best quarterback. So he was both. He was the most talented, and he was the best. But most of my life, that has not been true. Joe Montana was talented, but he wasn't the most talented quarterback, but he was the best. And Tom Brady, last 20 years, has not been the most talented quarterback, but he's the best. I don't think Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the league. I think he's the most talented. I know Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. He is significantly bigger, significantly stronger, significantly more athletic than both. Go look at his rushing numbers against Mahomes. Not even close. He jumps over people. Did you see his stiff arm last night? No other quarterback in the league doing that. He is Giannis. He is one of one on earth. He's Tyson and Foreman in his prime. He's got the best knockout punch, sometimes forgets to use the jab. A jaw-dropping talent. Cam was not this physical, nor this refined as a thrower. Big Ben, it's insulting to compare Big Ben's athletic ability to Josh Allen. It ain't close. But with that talent comes confidence. Used to see that with the Brett Favre, Namath. When somebody is so gifted and so great, the late Kobe Bryant, he'd take shots, coaches would scream, and Kobe swears he was going to make all of them. And you're going to have to deal with that with Josh Allen. Since he has been in the National Football League, I looked it up this morning, he's top 5 in total touchdowns and top 5 in giveaways. And I think the Bills are going to win multiple Super Bowl with him. And I think he's going to drive fans nuts and make a few of those Favre throws. And that's just the reality of being that great. He is a jaw-dropping one of one. There's little bits of Cam and little bits of Elway and little bits of Big Ben. And, it's when I hear people talking about Giannis. Giannis was the most talented guy in the league 4 years ago. But, he had to develop a shot. His ball handling's gotten better. He's got a little more range. Now he's the best player in the league. And maybe Josh Allen, this is the year. He'll be the best quarterback in the league. But last year, his passer rating last year was lower than Carson Wentz. His passer rating last year was lower than Mac Jones. His completion percentage isn't great. He makes a lot of mistakes. But, man, when you get Foreman or Tyson in their prime, when you get one of these one-of-one athletes, you just deal with it. You don't meddle. You don't micromanage. You kind of try to keep him in the fairway as much as you can. He made some big mistakes early, actually kept the Rams in the game. I was looking, kind of looking through the internet last couple of days, what everybody thinks is going to win the Super Bowl. And Buffalo was picked by virtually 85% of the media, 90% of the media. And so, people are like, oh, way to be creative. I think last night and at the end of last year, this sort of tsunami, this wave of talent and depth. I mean, their front line defensively, they got like 8 guys they rotate. And they've added Von Miller to that. And their young defensive linemen now are a year older. So maybe it's a bad matchup for the Rams. Like, this is the one team in week 1 with a new left tackle you didn't want to face. You could make that argument. But I think what you saw with Buffalo is what 80, 85, 90% of the people who predict Super Bowls, that's what you see. They did not win a single close game last night. And at halftime, weren't you thinking what I was thinking? Buffalo's so much better. How's this thing tied? How in the world is this game tied? It's not even close. And then the floodgates open. So they're a fun watch. They are. They're flawed. They make mistakes, but they are eye candy. They're Kansas City a couple years ago. Kansas City would fall behind 24-0 in a playoff game at home and come roaring back. They're imperfect. They're vulnerable, but when they get rolling downhill, just step aside. Rams found that out. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.